What is up, YouTube? I am your host, Jarrett, and this is Custom Points Live. Thank you guys for another watch here. I'm going to show you a little bit about the math on how to stay at this place. This is the Conrad Orlando, and it's the early morning here. So figured let me try to record a video before the family wakes up. And if we get interrupted, please do forgive me. So let's get right into it. I just wanted to show you a little bit about the math of this redemption. There was a recent Hilton devaluation, but I am not sweating it, and here is why. So this is all the math as of yesterday. I did some screenshots for you guys so you can see here. So basically, this is what I'm using for a free night reward. This is one night for a free night reward. We are staying here for a total of 6 nights. I'll just go through a little bit about that. So we did 5 nights on points, which anytime I'm using points, I'm always going to be using 5 nights in a row. So I'm getting the 5th night free with Hilton. And then I'm using a free night reward for the first night. So it's a total of 6 nights. And then we have friends staying with us as well to celebrate my wife's birthday. And they're going to be coming up and using 2 of my free night rewards. Now, they're all under my account. So the way that you still get access to your food and beverage credit with Hilton, as we're diamond members, but anybody above gold and above would get this, is if you have a player 2, even though your free night rewards are on your account, if they are on your account, once you're at the hotel, you can ask them to move the reservation under another Hilton Honors account. So that's what we did for our friends that are staying with us. They're going to be able to use the food and beverage on their room for those 2 nights just by using my wife's Hilton Honors account. So as you can see here, a lot of people will look at free night rewards and say, well, you know, the average value is like around $400 or whatever. I've heard $600. Listen, the average value of a free night reward is the minimum that you're going to actually use, right? So in our particular case, this is the absolute worst case scenario. That's why I wanted to do this math specifically for this redemption for you guys. My wife is pregnant. We are not going to fly anywhere. We planned on going to Zimi and Anguilla, if I'm pronouncing that properly. And we decided against it because we just didn't want to be so far away from the US. And obviously not being able to be near healthcare and stuff like that. So we decided to go to Conrad Orlando. Now, for us living in Florida, that's a 3-hour drive, not a problem, 2.5 hour, whatever it is. For you, it's going to be different. Everybody's going to be in a different position with what hotels are their absolute worst case scenario hotels. But I wouldn't say this is a bad worst case scenario. I'm very happy with this hotel. And I wanted to show you that even though there is a point devaluation, this math is to show you that the problem is not the points getting devalued. The problem is inflation. We live in a society with US dollars that our dollar is becoming worse and worse value. This same property, when it first opened up, we stayed here when it was like 8 months old. And this same room that we're in right now, which is a one bedroom suite, it cost $1,010 per night. And as you can see, one night now is $1,598. Now, let's go through some more math here. That's one free night reward. Minimum value for us is basically $1,600. Now, what we're going to be doing for our 5 nights is a total of $7,617. Now, this is, again, the exact nights that we're here. This is this is after the Hilton devaluation, so I'm just showing you guys all the reality. So we're using points for those 5 nights, and it's $7,617 if we were to pay cash. We are not paying cash. This is all for free. Now, my friends that are coming Friday through Sunday. That's 2 nights. We're using 2 free night rewards of ours, and the total for those would be $3,018.30. Now, how many points did we use for those 5 nights? We used 390,000 Hilton points. Now, the reason why that matters is because before, it used to be that you could book this place for 90,000 points per night. Then it started creeping up a little bit, and now it has varying degrees. You can see for this calendar here, how much it does change. You can still get a night for 90,000 points, but it's one of the entire month that you can book for 90,000 points. The others are around 100,000 or closer to 105,000. Whenever you see it's a million or something like that, or 500,000, ignore it. That's premium room awards. You don't want to use points, and you can't use points really. for those nights. Let's just avoid those entirely. And then anything that's blocked out, it's all sold. You can't use it. So for us, there's plenty of availability. And so we were able to celebrate my wife's birthday here. And so for my friends, it's 105,000 and 105,000. I did the math of, excuse me, it's 100,000 and 105,000. So I did the math for their room at 205,000. I'll show you in a moment here. So let's start adding this up. Now, when you're doing a calculation for a free night reward, you see here that you have 105,000 is my number in points. Now, again, I would never use points for one night in a row, just one night, because you want to get the fifth night free. But just to make the free night rewards apples to apples, when you're talking about what you're actually earning on the card itself, it's easier to just have a figure of what is the minimum value of points. So for us, the minimum that we'll ever use a free night reward for is 105,000 points at this hotel. That's our particular situation. Just so you can do that math for yourselves of what hotel is the nicest near you that is within Hilton. And this is to tell you what the Surpass card's value can be for you and how I'm calculating this. So this is a worst case scenario redemption for us. And I just wanted to walk you guys through it. So you have 105,000 for that one night that we're using. And that's getting you 1.5 cents per point, above 1.5 cents per point for that one night that we're using a free night reward. Now you have our friends that are using the 2 free night rewards of ours. And for those 2 nights, it's a 1.47 cents per point, right? Not bad at all. This whole thing you hear people say that, oh, you can't get that much value at Hilton. Couldn't disagree more. You can buy Hilton points for half a penny each, sure. But when I'm talking about redeeming Hilton points, this is my absolute worst case scenario as far as redeeming them. But I'm not actually redeeming points. I'm only redeeming free night rewards. So you have to really look at the cash of those. Now let's look at the actual points free night reward, the points value. We're getting 1.95 cents per point because we're using 390 points, 390,000, and it's $7,600 in cash value for those 5 nights. So the points are actually 1.95. So that's almost 75% off if we're talking about buying the points at a half a penny each, which again, I'm not buying points, but I just want you to understand when I do the math and I tell you the Surpass card gets me 5% back, what I'm telling you is it's 5% because I'm considering that I'm getting 10 points per dollar, right? But I'm not getting 10 points per dollar. You'll see here in a little bit. So now let's start doing some math on what exactly is a free night reward worth for us in this worst case scenario. We're using 3 free night rewards. Again, we planned on using those 3 free nights at Anguilla just to be able to try out a new property that looked like a pretty decent hotel. We wanted to check it out. We were going to use the 3 nights over there, but instead we decided, with my wife being pregnant, let's stay home. Let's stay near U.S. Healthcare, which obviously isn't great, but we don't know what it'd be like on the island. So you take the total of those 2 free nights, and as far as the cash, which would be the 3,000, and you add the 1,500 from ours. That's $4,616. Divide that by 3, and you have $1,538.98. So that is the value, the minimum value as far as what we're getting for a free night reward. We will stay in other properties that are worth more, but I just wanted to show you guys that this is my worst case scenario for a free night reward and why the value is so high of Hilton. Now, if you take that 19.5 cents per point that I'm getting with the points themselves, and you're actually looking at what is the worst case scenario on the Hilton Surpass card. The Hilton Surpass card gets 3x for non-category spend. It gets you 4x if you're using it on online purchases, which includes things like Amazon. And it gets you 6x points when it comes to dining, grocery, and gas. So that's double the 3x, right? Now, the other thing that's a superpower about the Hilton Surpass card is you're getting a free night reward, which again, I told you is worth $1,500, over $1,500 for me now. And you're getting that when you're spending $15,000. So just to do the absolute worst case scenario of what is the catch-all spend for a Surpass card worth, in my situation, it would be 3 points per dollar multiplied by the 15,000 that you need to spend, which is where you're getting this 45,000 point figure. So I'm getting 45,000 points for that 15,000 in spend in non-categorized spend, and I'm multiplying it by what is the absolute worst value that I'm getting for my points, which is 1.95 cents per point. That gives me a total of $898.91 if you want to round it up on exactly just the actual points, and when I'm redeeming them, the value I'm getting on that 15,000. So just right there alone is great value, but it gets better. Now you add in the free night reward value, which again, I'm using the actual cash value here, not the whole theoretical 105,000 points, because I'm not getting points. I'm getting a free night reward. So the cash has to be added there. So I'm adding the cash to that 878, and we're getting $2,417. Now, that should be it, right? Well, just to be completely fair, we are getting another $50 in food and beverage credits because of the fact that we have diamond status. And if you had gold status or above, you're still in the same boat. So that's $2,467.89 if you do the math. And you divide that by the $15,000 that you're spending on the card, and you're getting 16.45% back as far as the redemption is concerned, as your minimum. This is just for us. This is our minimum floor of how much value we are getting back from the Hilton Surpass card. Now, you can spend on a 3% catch-all card. People talk about the gold card by Robinhood, and I'm getting 3% back. That's great. Good for you. That 3% can be used anywhere. So I am pigeonholed to using that 16.45% back at Hilton. But again, looking at the property that I'm staying at, not too bad. I'm able to take my family on vacation. It's great. I don't need that 3% to be in cash. I'd rather have 16.45% back in a property like this to be able to take my family on vacation. And I'll take other cash and I'll invest that cash, right? This is what I want to be getting, is the value. I want to be able to leverage my spend and get me the most value I possibly can. So I just wanted to walk you guys through what's possible as far as redemptions are concerned. And the other thing to consider with these redemptions is that's for catch-all for a Surpass card. There's still two cards that I'm using that I prefer to spend on above that card, and that is the Built Palladium card, and that is the Alaska Atmos Summit card. Now, let's talk about the math on those so you guys understand why would I want to be using those cards when I just showed you that I can get 16% back on a Surpass card and stay at these kinds of properties. Well, I don't only want to go to the Conrad Orlando. I want to fly to other places, and those places require points to get me there. So let's do a little bit of math on that Built card. The Built Palladium card gets you 3x, right, when you're using the point accelerator. The easiest way to put that is that for up to 25,000 in spend on that card, you can get 3x. I'm just going to simplify this for anybody that doesn't understand Built. There is more nuance to this, and there's other videos on my channel that you can watch and you can learn about this, but the bottom line is you're getting 3x on that 25,000 in spend. I want to be platinum status, and to get platinum status with Built, you have to spend 50,000 on your card. So I have to spend another 25,000 on top of the 25 I just said, getting 3x. Of that 25,000 that's remaining, I'm going to spend that is required for me to get another 1 point per dollar on my mortgage. The math works out to being basically 3.33x for that spend. Now, for me, that spend is relatively low on my mortgage, but it's still there. Then any other remaining spend of that remaining 25,000, I'm getting 2x on, right? So if you're following me, I know it's a little bit confusing. That for me, my math, the average works out to 2.6x. So on that Built Palladium card, when I'm spending 50,000 points, $50,000, I'm getting an average of 2.6x points on that card. I'm also getting a bunch of funny money in Built Cash, and I'm going to use that Built Cash for things like transfer partner bonuses, which I did. I'm going to use it for the $10 per month for Walgreens. I'm going to use it for Lyft rides every now and then. And maybe, like, we're staying in Orlando right now, I know there's a restaurant called Jaleo that you can use for mobile dining. Am I going to go there? I'm not going out of my way to spend $25 at Jaleo and Built Cash. So I'm just saying, am I really going to spend it? Maybe not. But the reality is you are getting some value from Built Cash, so you got to factor that in. The other thing that's important is, why is platinum status so important? Why am I spending $50,000 on the Built Palladium card when I could have just spent it on the Surpass and get 16% back. The reason is because they have transfer partner bonuses that happen every now and then. And one that just recently happened was with JAL. Now, I had 160,000 built points that I wanted to use with JAL. I have currently gold status with built. I spent $135 in built cash, which was the requirement to get an extra boost. And I got another 40,000 points in JAL by doing that because it was 25%. So the total that I ended up getting was 320,000 JAL points for my 160,000 built points. Now, if you're doing the math on that, that's double, right? So that 2.6 that I said I'm earning on the 50,000, I'm really earning 5.4, right? Is that right? 5.2, sorry. 5.2x on the built card because I'm only going to redeem built points when there is a transfer bonus that is double at minimum, right? In my case, again, I'm going for platinum. So again, in that particular scenario, I've now turned the 2.6x card in 50,000 into a 5.2x card in my situation and with my math. Now, that 5.2x is not considering, again, all of the built cash that I'm also getting in value, so I can do the math on that. But let's just completely separate built cash for a little bit here and just talk about that 5.2. I can get 3 cents per point when I use those points with JAL. They have a business class that's 105,000 points. It seems to be an average, and that's with a lot of availability. Like I can take my wife, my son, and myself, all three of us, and there's plenty of availability for me to choose from with JAL. So I'm getting 3x on that flight. Now, 3x points, right? 3 cents per dollar, I should say, or 3 cents per point. Multiply that by the 5.2, and you're close to 16% back on that card. So I'm getting pretty much the same value on the built card as I am on the Surpass card. Again, just being smart about redeeming only when you actually have a double transfer bonus. Now, we're at the mercy of built as to which transfer bonuses they're going to have and when, but I had no problem being patient and accumulating those points and using them when it actually makes sense that I'm going to get significant value going to a place that I actually want to go, which in my case is Japan. So that's the built card. That's why the value is there. It's probably around 16% back as far as when I'm actually redeeming. And again, that's not even considering the cash, right, from the built cash. So it would take me even above that. So really, in all fairness, if you add that cash, I'm probably neck and neck, if not above the Surpass card. Now let's talk about the Summit card with the Atmos. If I spend exactly 60,000 on that card, which is my goal, I'm going to be getting 3x on that card for dining, 3x on foreign transactions, and 3x when I use the Atmos, when I book through Atmos. Now, I tend to fly a lot through Atmos because of where I live. I live in South Florida. American Airlines is almost always going to be the least expensive way to use to fly with points. And you can, I've done another video on that. You can watch that. The points add up for Atmos to be around that same amount. Let's say 3%, 3 cents per point back when I'm redeeming with the Summit card. Now, why does the Summit card matter? Is it's not just 3x. I'm not just getting 3 points per dollar. I'm getting another 10% boost because if you have a Bank of America card, you're getting 10%. So that's 3.3x. I'm also able to earn a lot back because every single time I book a flight with Atmos, I'm getting $12.50 back per seat, per way. So it's $25 per person per way. And that adds up. Obviously, it's not exactly easy to quantify here, but I mean, hundreds of dollars I've saved so far just with that alone. Now you add in that 3.3x and you add in all that. The other factor with the Summit card is that if you spend 60,000 in a year, you're getting 100,000 point companion pass. The way that works and that functions, especially if you have a family like me, is it doesn't have to be me and my wife on that one reservation, because if I did myself, my wife, and my son, which again, we have we have a second child on the way, but if I just did the three of us, it won't show up that the companion pass is available, which sucks. you're also getting, by the way, a 25,000 point companion pass on an annual basis with that card. But the way these companion passes work is it has to be two people on the reservation. So what I do is I use my wife and I use my son. And so the two of them together on one reservation in business class, for example, it can be round trip. So I have to spend basically, I have to go somewhere that's at least 50,000 points to get all of the value back. I could go somewhere that's 45,000 points and I would miss out on round trip 45,000, and I'd miss out on 10,000 of that 100,000 companion pass. But I'm just saying, if I wanted to use the exact value and get the full value out of it, I just have to fly somewhere that's at least 50,000 points. Well, with business class, not too hard. The constraint for us is I want to fly somewhere that's a direct flight if at all possible and stuff like that. So the end math, if you add that 100,000 of companion points to the points that you would earn from getting the 3.3x in any of those categories, it all adds up to being around 4.96 cents per point, or 4.96x per dollar of that 60,000 in spend. Now, again, that 4.96 doesn't factor in the cash that I'm getting with, the 1250 per person per way back. And it also doesn't factor in the 25,000 point companion pass that comes with the card annually. I'm just trying to tell you the value of these cards. So once I spend the 60,000 and I'm getting 4.96 back, I'm probably going to be able to redeem that for around 3 cents per point with Atmos as well. So there's a pattern here. That card is also getting me something like 15, 16% back. At minimum, I'm oftentimes getting 4 cents per point back with Atmos, especially when you're flying business class. And that's for, again, 60,000 in spend on that card. So that's assuming that you have that spend. Now, I have a lot of foreign transactions with my business, and that works out well for me. But I really do love that card. It's a fantastic card as far as the value you're getting back if you are able to spend that 60,000. Even if you're not able to spend it in a 3.3 category, right? You could spend that card at Costco and get 1.1x, but you're getting so much value back that's really getting you something like 4% back. Well, I don't mind it if I'm getting also spending towards that 100,000 point companion pass. And another thing I forgot to mention is you're also getting one world status that's going to be allowing you to have all kinds of benefits. And I'm not going to get into all the details of that. But just by spending 60,000, let's say you're not flying on any Atmos flights, and you're just accumulating points for some future redemption, you still are getting a lot of value just spending it in non-categories spend on that Summits card if you wanted to. So really all three of these cards, you just can't miss. The Surpass card, the Built Palladium card, and this card are all just fantastic cards. Now, are there other cards that are still great? Absolutely. This is not a one-size-fits-all game, and everybody can find what card works for them in their situation. I just happen to live in a place that Atmos points are really valuable. I happen to live in a place that, this is the worst case scenario redemption for us as far as no flights at all. All we're doing is driving, and we're staying in a place that we really like. So I just wanted you guys to have an understanding of how this math can really work. And it's incredible to be able to get 16% back on your spend. I mean, for anybody who's trying to kind of have these really high value redemptions, it just puts you in a position where you're never having to really save for travel, right? If you start getting into this hobby and you want to learn about all this stuff, it's a lot to learn. It's a lot to kind of dive in. I have the ability for you to book a time with me directly. There's a link in the description below. I'm happy to point you in the right direction. I will spend an hour with you going through all of the details of what works for me, why I think it works for me, but I'll more importantly talk about you and your individual situation. All I can talk about really on this channel is going to be what works for me. I really don't like to talk about things in generalities like that. The Summit card is great for you. It might not be. If you don't live in a place where American flights are ubiquitous, it's probably not a good move. And there probably are other cards that may be better for you. So everybody really needs to be doing their own math and figure out their own situation. And I'm more than happy to sit down with you and discuss all these kinds of details. So if you're new in the credit card game, I have a video, credit card points, I think it's called 101. Watch that one. That's going to talk about all the different variables about why it matters to, look at your own individual situation. But I'm trying to be fair with you guys for you guys to understand that everybody requires a bit of a different touch and different math. And so I'm only going to be able to share with you guys the math that works for me. And there's also a lot of things that are that don't belong in a public forum that kind of tells you how I can take this math that I just explained to you to an extreme, right? Like you can scale what I'm talking to you guys about with Hilton. You can scale it beyond just a few free night rewards. There's a lot of value here. So really appreciate you guys liking, commenting, subscribing. I really appreciate the comment. Someone said that they liked this kind of unscripted talking about things off the top of my head. So if you like that kind of content, if you wouldn't mind just letting me know in the comments below, I really appreciate it because it tells me what kind of content you guys want to be watching and how you guys want to be interacting with me. So that's why I do these lives, because it's super easy for me to just talk to you guys about how I feel about this stuff right when I'm in the moment of thinking about it. And you guys can feel free to let me know if this is super boring and you're not interested and you'd rather have edited videos. But I feel like there's plenty of people on YouTube that are giving you that. I wanted to give you guys the unscripted, just dialogue about what does and does not make sense for me mathematically and how I got to places like this. But to wake up in the morning and you're staying at a place like this is what I'm looking at while I'm talking to you guys. It's gorgeous. This is a man-made 8-acre lagoon that's all chlorinated. It looks like there's sand there because there is, but it's not really like a beach. As soon as you get off of like the sandy area there, you can see there's basically concrete, but it's smooth. I don't know how they do it, but it's like a really smooth surface that you're kind of walking in. You're not dealing with any salt water. You're not dealing with any fish or anything like that. And, it's just a gorgeous place. Like you don't feel like you're in Orlando. I don't know if you can see on the horizon there, there's the Epcot ball. Right from our hotel room, we can see the Disney fireworks at, I think it's 9 p.m. Every night. So, I mean, I don't know, man. We're staying in a 1-bedroom suite. We're able to get, for $1,500. And one last thing I want to talk about is inflation. Inflation's through the roof, guys. This whole thing about point devaluations, like you can't blame the hotels for devaluing their points because guess what? The dollar is getting debased, right? And the more dollars that they print, the less, the more things are going to cost, right? So as long as the point devaluations are chasing inflation at a slower pace than inflation is going up, you got to consider the fact that it's really not about a point devaluation. It's more about a dollar devaluation. Like this place we're staying in right now, I don't know if I mentioned, used to cost $1,010 per night. Now it's over $1,500. That was less than 2 years ago. So why is it going up? Well, when we first stayed here, it was 8 months old. It was a new property. But now you're talking about there's more people here. There's more demand. The price goes up. But also the dollar is getting devalued. So even with Hilton's latest devaluation, I believe it was a couple of days ago, all the math I just showed you stands for what the points are for this hotel. That's all after the devaluation that what I'm showing you guys. So I'm not that mad about the devaluation. And somehow, if you do the math, that 16% was lower before. It was like 12%, I believe, or 11% initially. And that is continued to creep up. Why is my cash redemption value, is my cash back value of the Surpass card increasing, even though there's all these Hilton point devaluations that are horrible? I'm not getting more points per dollar on that card. It's because the value of the properties are continuing to go up based on inflation. So keep in mind that your dollars are still stretching farther, even though Hilton points are being devalued, just because of the fact that the points are chasing inflation at a lower rate, is what I'm seeing. So just keep that in mind. I know that math doesn't seem to add up, but I'm telling you, like what we really should be talking about is how much the cashback equivalent is, and then tracking that over time. And if you're seeing that percentage go down, like it probably will with the with the Hyatt credit cards, that's a bad thing. Sure, that's a devaluation. But if you're seeing over time that Hilton cards are still getting you the same amount of points per dollar, but you're getting a lot more value back still, it's because of the fact that the dollar is getting debased. So keep that in mind, guys. Really appreciate your time. Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you want more content like this, hopefully just let me know in the comments what you'd like to know and what you'd like to see, and I'll do my best to share it with you. Really appreciate you all staying, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.